when the media calls me, when reporters call me and they talk about what in San Diego actually is sort of an unprecedented addition of new office space. We've got order of magnitude 3 million square feet of new office space coming on over the next couple of years, some of which you're responsible for, Kevin in particular. And they asked me, what's going to happen with this new office space? And I always say to the reporter, you're asking me the wrong question. The question isn't what's going to happen with the new office space. It's the best space. It's the flight to quality space. It's in the best location. It's the newest space. It's going to be able to accommodate, if a law firm takes up 100,000 feet in their old space and their lease is up or they walk from it, and they may need only 40,000 feet in the new space, and they're going to pay a higher rate for that, but they're going to be in a better quality location. So there is a clear flight to quality. The problem is going to be in the old buildings, and that really requires these neighborhoods to change, not just the buildings themselves. Which I guess sort of leads me to the last big question I wanted to ask you, which is how does all of this impact how you're designing new buildings?
That's first thing I want to start with a comment that I've heard a bunch of times, which really scares me, that kind of relates back to what you said. We're told often by brokers and people doing the leasing that if it was built pre-internet, no one wants it. And that makes me feel very old because I'm just about pre-internet, but that kind of flight to quality is really happening. The impact on the new buildings we design, the new office buildings, we can debate this, and Kevin might not necessarily even agree with me, but design a building to do what it does really well, right? Design the best office building and you're going to get people to use it. It's going to have good longevity. It's going to be energy efficient and so on. If you try and design a halfway office and a halfway residential and a halfway something else and try and hedge your bets, you'll end up with something that's kind of not good at anything.
Yeah.
And I think that's critical. There's nothing wrong with some buildings being demolished and some being converted and some having new uses. That's the natural flow of it. If you look around any downtown, there's manufacturing buildings there that are now lofts and people live in them. And that's a good thing. That's the natural evolution of a city. If I go out and design a floor plate that kind of works for office and kind of works for residential and will let the people guess what it will be in the future, I think we'll end up with some pretty sad product.
Yeah, I agree with Steven, although again, when putting my San Diego hat on, in the urban core, Steven's absolutely right. We've got so many suburban submarkets in San Diego that the theme we're seeing is designing for flexibility. So, a 4 or 5 story office building in the suburbs, which is fairly common in San Diego, we're now designing them with higher floor to floors, greater vibration criteria, loading criteria, service criteria, so that, in our market, we're a science cluster, number 3 science cluster in the country. It's common to see buildings ebb and flow between straight office to science, even to manufacturing. So, we might put a 20-foot floor to floor high bay ground floor space so that it can be converted to manufacturing in the future. You would never do that in the urban core. So it's definitely a different conversation between suburbs and urban, but that notion of designing in flexibility is, I think, something we do see, and it comes with a cost. To design a building to be flexible does require investing a little bit more. And even 10 years ago, we were starting to talk about the conversion of parking structures when the autonomous vehicle was going to take over our lives, and we could do work in the back seat and the way to work and not have to drive. What are we going to do with all these parking garages? So we were designing parking structures that could be converted to office or residential. And that comes with a cost, because the floor loading for parking structure, although it's not intuitive, is about half of an office. So, you've got to make a much more robust parking structure to convert it later. Or you might just convert the ground floor and design your circulation so that the cars can get up a ramp in the back, and you can convert some of that lower level space to another use, retail or office. So this isn't entirely new, but the conversation is entirely different between, densified urban core high rise than it is in the suburbs.